So we are doing a series on debt-free living by Pastor Stanley Mehta. And this is in continuation with what Alex had spoken last week on serving two masters, God and money. And earlier also, Martin had spoken on how to live a debt-free life. People get into debt because they have no backup plan to help them in time of crisis. And today, we are going to look at saving and investing. I am a novice in this. As I prepare this, I'm also learning. And as I said, this is a series prepared by Pastor Stanley Mehta. So all the points are taken from his book, and except some illustrations and examples. And as my husband had already said, our talks will be of two parts today, and I'm just going to share on what the Word of God says on saving and investing. So I try to look at what is saving and what is investment. So the dictionary says that saving is the portion of income not spent on current expenditures. In other words, it is the money set aside for future use and not spent immediately. Then what is investment? Investment is an asset acquired or invested in to build wealth and save money from the hard-earned income or appreciation. Or in other words, investment is primarily to obtain additional source of income from the savings or investment that we have made over a period of time. So what I understand is that investment needs time, and saving is just keeping aside a little bit from our immediate income and not spending everything. Now, that's what the dictionary says. Now let's look at what the Word of God says. God's Word regarding saving and investing. Point number one is saving is a sign of wisdom. Proverbs 21 verse 20, Esther has clearly read out. Let me read it again. In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all he has. Wise people save and store, but foolish people consumes and devours everything that they have. Delhi is not the original domicile for most of us. That means we have to go back to our hometown once in a while. For us, it's Manipur. So we had gone to our hometown in December, and we returned to Delhi in January. But we had to travel back to Manipur in the month of March for adopting our son. It was a sudden decision. It was not a planned travel. And so, had we not had some savings, we would have been forced to borrow from someone else, which is not a good practice. And so, we need to save and not consume everything. Saving is a sign of wisdom. That's what the Word of God says. And now, secondly, saving during the season of plenty helps to tide over the season of scarcity. We all learn from the story of Joseph how he led the Egyptians to store up and save during the years of abundance so that they could tide over the next 7 years of famines. Where they not only were they able to serve their own needs, but they were also able to share with their neighboring countries. Yeah? So what are the seasons of scarcity that people might face? Number one is unemployment. Today, I wanted to take the example of Jabba. Jabba was here, I think, yeah. I wanted to take her example. Jabba was, with her permission, I'm sharing this. Jabba was working with one company for 7 months, but she had to quit because of her ill health. And then for some time, she was jobless, and the pandemic came in. So like 1 year, she was without job. And the following year, she got a job, but this was on internship kind of basis. So she was paid a very nominal stipend. But because she worked hard for those 7 months and she had saved, she was able to sustain those 2 difficult years with the savings that she had made in the last 7 months. And I thought that's being very wise. And so we need to save for times that we do not know, for times of scarcity, even major illness. Most of you, or some of you are aware, my husband was taken very ill in 2011. And when the report came and we had to undergo for major treatment, we had no money at that point of time. And I had to borrow from my colleague to go to the hospital. And that was a big lesson for me. And I decided I will start this habit of recurring deposit. And that made me start this habit of saving little bit every month. And I said, this is going to be the last time that I would borrow like this. Yeah? We learn from our mistake too, but we need to save for things, for times like this. The pandemic, we've just come out of the pandemic, and many people lost job. There was many kinds of emergencies, sickness, or even death. Some of us had pay cut or delayed payment. But during this time of crisis, we spend our savings. But for some people who had not saved, they have to borrow from people, or they have to take loan to manage, or they may have to spend from their credit card. And so crisis brings out our real color. Financial crisis clearly reveals one's stewardship of finance. Some people have learned lesson from this such difficult time and changed the posture of their attitude on saving and investing, but some are yet to learn. So there could be many unforeseen situations and emergencies that may require expenses like children's education, like professional fees for professional courses, or just repairs, or like repetitive repairs or maintenance at home, so on and so forth. And so we need to save in order to meet all these kind of expenses. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6 to 8 says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest." This passage actually calls us to be wise, to be diligent and active. The ants need not be told what they should do, but they do not have a leader or a commander that you should do this now, you should do that now. No, they don't even have a commander or a leader, but they have sufficient all the time. And so we need to work hard when we are able. There may be time when, even if we want to work, there may be time we will not be able to do it. So we need to work hard and save when we are able, so that in times of scarcity, we need not suffer. Now, point number 3 is saving is a duty of the parents. This is hard. Now, Proverbs 30, verse 22 says, "A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous." 2 Corinthians 12, verse 14b says, "After all, children should not have to save up for their parents, but parents for their children." Monetary saving for our children is good, my husband always says, but investing in their education and various other courses are equally important. I grew up in a village in Manipur till my 10th grade. I did all my studies in Northeast, and when I came out of Northeast for work, when I started working, I came to know that parents actually start saving right after their children's birth. They start saving, and that was a new thing for us. But today I realize that that's quite biblical. The parents may be doing it just like that, just as a practice. But it's quite biblical also. For us, what happened in our community is that parents give birth to many children. Then they really work hard and support their older kids and for their studies. And when the older kids complete their studies, start working, they will support their younger siblings. That's what exactly I have done also. I supported my younger siblings for their studies after I started working. And I'm glad I had done that. That is a biggest investment. Even if I cannot do anything, save any money for them, at least I help them, in their studies. What is the point if we have crores of money in our bank account? We have so many flats and plots and lands, and our children do not know how to manage them. They do not know how to utilize them. It's no point. And so it is, we need to save and invest for our children, but also know what is the best investment for them. Point number 4 is saving to provide for your family is a sign of faith. 1 Timothy 5 verse 8 says, if anyone does not provide for his relative, and especially for his immediate family, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. I keep taking our example because this is the only thing I could think of. Like as a family, my husband and myself, we tried our best to support both our families, my family and my husband's family. And in fact, for my old father-in-law and my sister-in-law, we support them every month. And that's the least we could do for the one who has raised up so many children and so well. And so saving to provide for our family is a sign of faith. Now, let's look at the next point. Saving should be done regularly and diligently. I'm sure Ankit will be talking to us more on this. Proverbs chapter 21 verse 5 says, the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. I had shared also how I had started saving in recurring deposit after encountering an emergency. So we learned from our mistakes. I think recurring deposit is one of the most basic mode of saving with a definite guaranteed returns. Yeah, I'm looking at Ankit. Yeah, but these things help us in our planned visit to our hometown and even relative weddings and other emergencies. And so it is good to have a discipline of saving every month or quarterly or half yearly. I do my LIC half yearly. And annually, like BPF, we can do it. I do my deposit in BPF just once a year. And so all this systematic investment is a great practice, which Ankit will talk to us in details. So dishonest, Proverbs 13 verse 11 says, dishonest money dwindles away, but he who gathers money little by little makes it grow. I really like this word that says, he who gathers money little by little makes it grow, because we don't have a lot of money. So little that we have, we just want to start saving little by little, and God will make it grow. Yeah, and now let's look at the last point. This is going to be my last point, and it's really important. I feel that is not investing is a sign of laziness and wickedness. We can all check whether we are lazy or not, because it says not investing is a sign of laziness and wickedness. What does the word of God says? Matthew 25 verse 26 to 27 says that his master replied, you wicked, lazy servant, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I return, I would have received it back with interest. Not investing is not a sign of having faith in God. We live by faith does not mean that we live without saving. It's like jumping on a cliff, thinking that God will send his angel to rescue us. Let us not put the Lord our God to the test. Let us not be lazy, but be a sincere and good steward of what God has given us, what God has blessed us. I want to end by reading out this passage from Deuteronomy 15, verse 6. For the Lord your God will bless you as he promised, and you will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. You will rule over many nations, but none will rule over you. As we obey the word of God and live accordingly, I'm sure God will bless our finances. He will bless us. Now I would like to ask Ankit to take his time. Thank you.
Good morning, church. Thank you, Achui. I think you have covered a good portion of my message, right? So that was very wonderfully covered. Okay, so I guess when Pastor called me 3-4 days before and then asked me, hey, can you talk about investing and savings? Because like as an outsider, he understands that, hey, chartered accountants know everything, right? But there's a small disclaimer that I myself am not very good at it, right? So I'm still learning, and then today I can admit or confess that, hey, whatever little bit I'm learning from last 5-7 years, it's a great part goes it to my wife, right? Like whenever she heard that, hey, Ankit, are you gonna talk about investing? The first word which she said, are you gonna talk about investing? No, you never invest. See my investments give me better portfolio, give me better return than yours. How can you talk about it? I'm not sure why pastor has called you. So, and whenever she argues with me that, hey, I'm a better person in dealing with finances than you, I never say yes to her. I never admit to her, because I know the moment I'll say yes to her, she'll go to all my relatives, all our common friends, and then she'll say, hey, look, my husband is a chartered accountant. He might be working in a good company, but I am teaching him how to do finances. So I guess this is a good platform. I admit that my wife is slightly better than me in dealing with finances. So I guess let's speak about savings and investment. I hope the slides are on. Okay. Okay, so I guess if the amount is saved, right? Achui has very wonderfully explained what saving is, right? So if the amount is saved and thoughtfully invested, right, it can really help give everyone a very good return, right? So that's important to understand the difference between saving and investment, right? I guess saving is I would say a discipline and an art, right? And then Bible says that it's a wisdom, right? So when you combine this discipline and art, you generally become more wise, right? So saving, there are some sources of saving which I'm going to talk about here, I guess. And normally, I guess for all the salaried class, saving is amount which a person saves from his or her salary, right? A business person will save out of his profit which is left after spending all the money, right? Another mode of saving is that income which is earned from deposits, right? So all of us save our money, put it in the bank accounts, right? If you put it in a recurring deposit or fixed deposit, it will help us generate some interest, right? That's also a mode of saving, right? I'll talk more about it as to what are the types of interest, how saving, and how if we invest into bank, how we can earn compound interest and how we can benefit about it. We'll talk about it in subsequent slides. Another mode of saving could be windfall gains, right? When I say that windfall gains, it's like abnormal income coming to an individual, right? That could be from sale of an immovable property, from sale of an old asset, right? That could be any windfall gain, right? Or there could be a refund from income tax authorities if you're filing your return. I'll little bit touch upon that as well, right? So if you can move to next page. Okay, so I guess after savings, when you talk about the investment, it's very important to understand what are the kinds of investment, right? Before investing it, right? So, like all of us will understand that saving is very important aspect because it's our hard-earned money, right? So, it's our every day we go to office, we sacrifice a lot of things, right? And then by the end of the month, we are able to save some portion of it, right? So where to invest, it's a very important decision, right? We all have to think very thoughtfully before investing, right? So investments are of different types. There are certain investments which could give you low interest. There are certain investments, right, which could give you high interest. There are some short-term investments, some long-term investments, some medium-term investments also, right? There are some monthly investments, some annual investments, some periodic and non-periodic investments, right? And then through these investments, you also often get some benefits in the income taxes also, right? And I'll talk about more about it is that when you save and invest, there's a huge benefit in the form of compounding of interest, right? I'll talk to you about it. And it's very important to invest early, right? Keeping in mind the impact of compound interest, which we'll talk about. I hope I'm clear and the words are not very jazzy. Please let me know, because for me it could be very normal. If anyone is not able to understand, please let me know. I'll try to make it as simple as I could, right? If you can go to next slide, please. Okay, so basically these are some common types of investment, right? I'm not saying that this covers all types of investment. These are some common types of investment that all of us put money into, right? So I'll talk more about it, right? Like one of the most common type of investment is that putting money in the fixed deposits, right? For those of you who do not understand fixed deposits, that it's a money. Suppose I have a 10,000 of saving at the end of the month or end of the year. I put that money in a bank account and I call it a fixed deposits. And fixed deposits are of various types. There could be a 1 year fixed deposit, they could be a 2 year, they could be 5, or they could be 7 year, right? So depends on your situation, you put that money in the fixed deposits. Amongst all the category of interest which bank offers, I guess in FD, the bank offers the highest rate of interest, right? Which could be anywhere between 5% to 6.5 or 7% these days. So when you put money in your fixed deposits, right, there's some liquidity crunch also. In fixed, by nature of it, fixed deposits, once you put a money for a particular duration, you're not allowed to touch it. If you will touch or if you will withdraw that money, then your fixed deposits will forfeit. Your interest benefit will lose, right? You'll not get entire 5.4% interest. You'll get slightly less, maybe 3% or 4%. So that's the concept of fixed deposits. I guess second most common types of investment is equity shares, right? Equity shares is like all of these shares which are listed on a stock exchange, right? So I have some money, I'll study about the company, I'll study its financials, I'll try to understand the growth pattern, I'll study the historical numbers, how the shares have grown, and I'll put my money in the stock exchange by buying that particular share, right? So investing into a share market by buying equity shares can give you two benefits, right? Number one is capital appreciation, right? What I mean by capital appreciation, if I bought, for an example, if I bought one share of Reliance for 2,500 rupees, right? And if I bought at the beginning of the year, by end of the year, the price of the share from 2,500 increased to 2,800, right? So this difference of 2,800 minus 2,500, which is 300, this is my profit, right? If I sell the share. This profit, we call it capital appreciation, right? Another benefit of equity share, investing in equity shares, is that Reliance, in the company which I invested, at the end of the year, they also evaluate, okay, this is my profit, 10,000 crores, and then they decide, okay, I will distribute my profit to the shareholders, right? This distribution of profit is called dividend, right? Whenever I'll distribute my profit, I'll call it dividend. So Reliance, suppose, decides, okay, for every share I'll distribute 2 rupees as a dividend, right? So you might receive dividend on number of shares which you have taken for a particular company. That's also a benefit in share market, right? But I guess share market, I'll take a pause here and attempt to explain to everyone that investing in share market is quite risky, right? extremely risky in short term. So I'll tell you one story. This is, I guess, 8-9 years before I was working in a company, and then at that point in time, that was a lean season. I did not had enough of a work, and then some of my friends said, "Hey, why not you open a demat account?" Then I opened a demat account. Demat account is an account through which you can purchase and sell the shares. So I've opened a demat account, and then I purchased the share. Suppose I invested some amount, I purchased the share, and I went for a coffee break in my office. And then when I returned back, the price of the shares increased, right? And I immediately sold. So in a gap of like 15 minutes, I earned 4,000 rupees. And I was super excited. I said, hey, I'm really burning my midnight oil working for companies. And hey, I'm a chartered accountant. I know mostly about all the listed companies. I know about the shares. If I can make 5,000 in 15 minutes, why am I working? Every month I should take my salary. Whenever I get my salary, I should put it in a stock exchange and I can double my money, right? But it does not happen, right? So maybe for a couple of days I earned money, but then eventually by end of the month, I ended up losing 40,000. So, so despite being chartered accountant, right? So you know this company is going to perform very well. This company is performing very well. This company is not performing very well. Nobody knows how a stock market will react, right? So nobody. You can of course make some calculated guess that at times prove out to be correct, but it proves out to be correct in medium term or long term, right? So like what I was doing in technical language, we call it a day trading, right? Or earning short term gain, right? So in practicality, nothing like that happens, right? So there's no concept of like short term gain. So if you have money, and it depends, I'll talk about what to think and how to think while investing. So avoid investing into share market, at least on a short-term basis. If you are trying to invest for a medium term or long term. When I say medium term, it should be 2 to 5 years, and long term is more than 5 years. Anything which is less than 1 year could be risky, especially in Indian economy kind of a scenario. We do not know which company will go up, which company will go down. Okay, I'll talk about mutual funds. So before getting into a detail of it, what are mutual funds, right? So like there are different shares, right? There are shares of aeroplane companies, there are shares of telecom companies, there are shares of consumer companies, there are share of automotives, right? So mutual funds are the companies, right, which hire professionals who have great understanding of the stock market, right? And then they take money from you and they invest into these shares, right? And they invest into diversification of shares, that they won't take your 10,000 rupees and invest into any one particular share. They'll invest into different types of companies, different types of portfolio, different types of product, right? So that's why mutual funds became less risky. Why less risky? Because generally it won't happen that all of the companies in which they have invested your money, all of the company will fail, or all of the company will go down, right? And then because they have some specialists, they have done some studies, they use your money and try to invest into a good proportion. So as compared to share market, mutual funds are less risky. So this is mutual funds. Now mutual funds are also generally of two types, right? One is debt mutual fund. So what is debt mutual fund? Suppose I'm a mutual fund company and I've taken suppose 10,000 rupees from pastor, and what will I do with this money? Instead of investing into shares of different company, I will give this money on a loan to maybe a government or to any other private organization, right? So what happens when you give a loan, right? So when you give a loan, if I will give a loan of rupees 50,000 to Romi, I'll tell her at the time of giving of loan that, hey, I'm giving you a loan of 50,000. You have to return not only 50,000 to me, you also have to return interest at a rate of 13%, right? So what are debt mutual funds? That mutual fund owners use your money and invest into by giving it a loan to others, right? So when they give loan to others, the return on those loans are quite assured. Other than in equity mutual funds where they take your money and invest into companies, right? Those companies do not give assurity to return the money to the mutual fund. but debt mutual fund holders get an assurity, right? I'll talk more about that. So if I compare mutual funds, I guess debt mutual funds, if you say, it's similar to fixed deposits, right? Where your returns are assured and it's slightly higher than the fixed deposit rates. Now, apart from shares, fixed deposit, and mutual fund, there are some other modes of savings and investment. I'll quickly touch upon that while coming to the end of this session, which is like investing into LICs, National Savings Certificate, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. I'll just touch upon that. Okay, can we move to next slide, please? Like before getting into details, I guess these are some thumb rules, right? So what are those thumb rules? Thumb rules are these rules generally apply to everyone. They could be different, but then these are some thumb rules of investing, right? Like savings is imperatively important, right? But investing is not mandatory, right? Every amount you saved does not necessarily needs to be invested. Investing is thoughtful, right? Saving will happen because of your habits, because of your discipline, right? But investment is always should be a thoughtful decision, right? I have made this mistake in my life. I have not started to invest early, right? So investing early is very important, right? So I'll give you a classic example. I started my career 10 years before when I was earning like 35,000 a month, right? And after meeting my expenses, I'm normally left with only 1,000 and 2,000 in a month, right? So I used to think at that point in time, hey, like 1,000 if I save, what impact will it make to my life, right? It's only 12,000 in a year, right? That was such a wrong thinking. I regret till now. So whatever you are earning at whatever stage you are in your life, you should start to invest early. It does not depend upon the quantum of money or the amount. A portion of your salary should always get saved and then invested. So that's a very important concept. Second concept is that you should diversify your portfolio. I mean to say proportion. Suppose this cup is there. Assume that there's a basket, right? So your investment basket should be full of different types of investment. It would not be a rational thinking to put all your money in same type of investment, right? So like I would not, since FD gives me very safe return and assured return, I would not put all of my money only in FD, or I would not put all of my money only in debt funds, right? So I have to diversify my portfolio. A classic example is that I don't know how many of you are aware, like there are some sovereign gold funds, right? So sovereign gold funds is like a digital gold. Like generally you buy gold and then the value of the gold appreciates and then you try to sell it. Now there are gold bonds where you don't have to physically own gold. You'll get a digital certificate that, hey, Ankit, you are owning 10 grams or 20 grams of gold, right? So like gold and the stock market generally go in opposite direction. When stock market goes down, prices of gold goes up and vice versa, right? So it's important that you do not put all of your money only in gold, because it might happen the stock markets are going up and up, gold prices might go down. So you have to diversify your portfolio. You also have to make sure that all of the funds are not holed up in only mutual funds, right? You have to segregate some portion in equity also, some in gold, some in immovable property if you want to invest, right? Can we move to next page? Okay. I guess one of the key reason or one of the key considerations for investing is that we should understand our risk appetite, right? So what is our risk appetite? It generally depends on three factors, right? One is your age, second is your circumstances, and third is your disposable income, right? So give you an example. If I am a younger Ankit, like if I am in my early 20s, right? So my risk appetite would always be high, right? I would not have so many responsibilities, right, on my family. So I can really instead of investing all my money in FD, I can try to identify some good stocks, right, and invest it on a long-term basis. For example, Reliance, right, or MRF tires, right. These are the stocks, right. But then by the time I'll come in my early 40s or late 30s, right, my risk appetite would reduce, right. So it depends. You need to understand your risk appetite on which age bracket you are, and then also consider your disposable income. What is disposable income? After, if you're getting a salary or a monthly income, after spending all that, you have what you have left in hand, right? So I might be earning 1 lakh a month, right? So, but at the end of the month, I'm only saving 10,000, right? A person might be earning 60,000, but at the end of the month, he's able to save 20,000. So that's also a very important factor. See your disposable income and then try to invest, right? So don't commit yourself or to your family member that, hey, I'm going to invest this much. See your income in hand and then try to make a plan. And I guess in order to grow in life, and then as Achui said that we have to remain debt free, we should always avoid being indebted, right? So debt is not a good thing, both from the practical aspects as well as our spiritual and biblical aspects. Debt is never a good thing. So we should always avoid being indebted. I guess few things which I can talk from practicality standpoint. Everyone generally needs to take a home loan, right? Everyone need not take personal loan. So avoid personal loan, avoid credit card. Home loan is, from talking from practical standpoint, it cannot be avoided, but we can do a separate session, maybe a 15-20 minute, where I can explain you the tricks of how to reduce the home loan of 20 or 25 years by doing very simple steps and strategy. You can reduce it to 10 years, right? So that also means even if you take loan, you don't only take loan and sit back and relax and then say, okay, I'll pay EMI. You need to think through, right? There are different options in the loan, like prepayment options, pre-closure options, part payment options. So use those options. Even if you have to take a loan, choose those options during the tenure of serving the loans to make sure that you do not end up paying lots of interest and reduce the tenure of your loan. I'll talk about it maybe in subsequent slide. The last point is that, and I believe in this theory, right? And I'm not sure how much of you will be able to resonate. Like I've written, no one gets or should get rich overnight. I firmly believe, right? Like my wife and I, we normally discuss, hey Ankit, what if we have so many lakhs or so many crores? Our life would be sorted out. Like I always tell my wife, no, it won't be sorted out, because all of a night, if I get rich, right? Classic example is Bitcoin. If I invest 1 lakhs, it could happen that my 1 lakhs could become 10 lakhs in 3 to 4 days, right? That's a very volatile situation. But I might earn 10 lakhs in 10 days, but I won't be getting the wisdom, experience, and knowledge to deal with those 10 lakhs, right? So it's very important that whenever we try to become rich or try to earn money, we should truly ask or reflect to ourselves, do we really deserve it, right? So always gradual and a marginal growth is much more important in life, so that we remain grounded, right? That's why I said no one should get or could get, right? So you would have lots of attractive scheme. Hey, invest here in this shop and earn a minimum guaranteed return. Make some members, right? You make 5 members and then they'll make 5 members, right? And then you don't have to do any job during your lifetime. So please avoid those shortcuts to get rich, and avoid those marketing traps, right? That are very lucrative, that gives you a shortcut to become rich, shortcut to double your money, right? So like government is doubling your money in 7 to 8 years, right? And of course, private institutions may double your money in 3 to 4 years, but if anyone is promising you that they will double your money in 1.5 years, 2 years, don't go for that. Even if you want to go, do a solid research, right? So, and that's avoidable also. You might earn a windfall gain, but trust me, this is my belief that we won't be getting that kind of a maturity to handle those finances. It's important. Okay, we can go to next page. I think it's visible, right, to everyone, the table which is here. Yeah, okay. So like it's it's a simple example, right? Which shows that if you continue to invest your money, right, how much you can grow. So like there are three examples, there are three persons here, person 1, person 2 and person 3, right? I've assumed that all three persons are investing in some debt mutual funds, right, which gives a normal 8% return in our example. So if you see person 1, right, he has invested 1 lakh every year, sorry, for 5 years, right? And then he stopped investing. I'm looking at the column which is the amount invested, right? Then he stopped investing from 6th year, right? But what he has not stopped is that he has kept that particular money in the same bank account or same mutual fund, right? Now, like in year 1, just to give you example, he has invested 1 lakh, earned an interest of 8,000, and his cumulative amount became 1 lakh 8,000. In year 2, apart from 1 lakh 8,000, he reinvested that 1 lakh 8,000, plus in year 2, he again invested 1 lakh more. So in year 2, he must have invested 2 lakh 8,000, on which he has earned the interest of 16,000, right? And then his cumulative amount at the end of year 2 is 2 lakh 24,000. At the end of year 5, right, his amount was 6 lakh 33,000. So he has invested 5 lakhs, and that 5 lakh became 6 lakh 33,000, right? If he would have invested 1 year and withdrawn, 1 year and withdrawn, he would not have gotten that amount, right? So that's an impact of cumulative interest, right, which we call compounding interest, right? Now, like, it's very interesting to see from 6th year onwards, right? So after earning 6 lakh 33,000, he has not withdrawn the money from his bank account or FD or debt mutual fund. He has kept his money there only. And then you see in 6th year, he is just earning interest on like 6 lakh 33,000. He has earned interest of 50,687. In 7th year, he again reinvested that amount. He earned interest of 54,000, and so on and so forth. Now, very interesting to see, if you see the bottom where the totals are given, he has invested only 5 lakhs for 15 years, and he has earned interest of 8,67,880. The total cumulative amount is 13,67,000, which gives him a growth of 174%, right? His money has grown 2.74 times. So I would say person 1 is very intelligent and very smart as compared to person 2. Person 2 also started the same journey as with person 1, but after 5th year, he stopped making investment, and whatever money he had withdrawn, right? So he's only able to earn 6 lakh 33,000, right? So we should try to keep our money invested, right? Every year we all get promotions, right? We might get some increments, there are hikes in salaries, there are some annual bonus, Diwali bonus, right? So if you do not have any amount to spend, if you do not have any plans, try to invest that amount into some of the interesting fixed deposits or debt mutual funds and keep it there, right? These mutual funds or FDs, all of them are quite liquid, right? Whenever you have some emergency, you can withdraw. I guess one tip I can give you all for fixed deposits. So suppose if Sheila auntie have 5 lakhs in hand, right? And like she is in a above 60, right? She's a senior citizen. Of course, there's no use for her to take risk with that amount. So she decides, okay, I'm gonna put this amount in fixed deposits, right? That's a government scheme. I'll get an assured return of at least 5 to 6%. So there would be one thought, okay, she invests 5 lakhs into that one FD, right? But all of you do not invest whole amount in that one FD. Instead of it, maybe I would recommend Sheila auntie to invest 50,000 in 10 FDs, right? So you'll get the same return because the amount invested is 5 lakhs. Instead of one FD, split it in 10 FDs. Because suppose if any emergency comes in her family, she needs to pay any medical bills, she needs to travel, she don't have to break entire 5 lakhs FD. She can break any of those 50,000 FD and make her life goes on, and then she'll continue to earn those reward on remaining 4,50,000 of FDs. So whenever you are spending in FDs, try to break it into as many FDs as you can. It would be just be little bit time consuming to manage those many FDs, but it would be very nice considering if any emergency comes, you don't have to break the overall total FD. You can break the small portion of FD and use it for your commitments. Is this example clear to everyone? Okay. We can move on to the next slide. I guess these are some common types of market investment, right, which we have talked about. I'll just double click on these one. One was debt funds, right, which I was talking. This is like debt mutual fund. So in this, you'll get fixed income, right? There's low or no risk, right? And what is this? As I told you, mutual funds, investment, government or private securities, which carry assured return, right? Average return could be from 7 to 9%, which is higher than FDs, right? Which is like 5 to 6% these days. Equity funds is that, of course, which I told you, mutual fund owners will take your money and invest into equity share market. So of course, there would be a volatility in this particular fund. In short term, this could be risky, but in medium term, I guess the risk is very moderate. So you can identify some of the mutual funds. You can talk to me one-on-one. I can suggest you some name, or for a better understanding, reach out to my wife. She is better qualified than me for mutual funds. So you can take some mutual funds and try to invest your money at least for 1 to 2 years, right? So do not try to invest it just for 1 year and withdraw. Equity shares, I told you, I guess investment is made through stock market where risk is moderate or high. Short term is very risky. Please avoid short term. And average return could be 16 to 24% in decent stocks. Okay, I'll move on to the next slide. Yeah, next slide. Okay. So these are just the category of common investments, right? Where I've just highlighted some risk level and average return, and it depends. I guess for debt funds, I have a funda. So like if right now I am 37, right? So if my age is 37 and I have 1 lakh rupees in hand, I'll try to invest 37,000 in debt funds, and remaining I can take a risk. So that's a thumb rule, right, of investment. How much risk you can take. So whatever your age is, right, try to invest that amount in fixed securities, right, and rest of it you can invest in the other funds, right. So like I'm 37, if I have 1 lakh rupees, maybe 37,000 I'll definitely invest into fixed deposits or debt mutual funds, and remaining 67,000 I'll make a good portfolio or a good balance where I'll select some good stocks, right. I'll select some good mutual funds, and I'll select some amount by investing into gold or immovable property, right. But it depends. Suppose if you're 55 or 60, right, there's no use for you to spend your money in risky stocks, right. So you should go towards assured return, right. That's the thumb rule. Okay, so I'll share with everyone this slide. This is like for a category of investment and in which age you are. This is a general hypothesis as to how much % of your money you should invest, you should not invest, or what you should do. Okay, since we are talking about investment, just come to next page. It's good that I thought that I'll tell everyone, since most of you here are salaried class, like what are some common forms of investment, right, which can give you income tax benefit also, right? Like this is LIC premium. If you are, this is not a term plan, this is other than term plan. If you are investing into some LIC stocks, or LIC into life insurance thing, that premium, whatever you pay up till 1,50,000, that you can get some saving on. Second is tax saving FDs, right? So fixed deposits, there are some tax saving FDs also, right? Where you can not only just get interest, you can also get some rebate in income tax. There's an investment in provident fund. This is very important, right? So I guess 70-80% of the people here would be getting their PF deducted from office only. If not, please do yourself and invest into a public provident fund, right? This gives very nice interest. 8% is a very good interest, right, in provident fund, as against 5 or 6% in FD or recurring deposit. You get 4 to 5%, right? So investment in provident fund is also very good. Investment in NSCs is also very good. If I talk to you about B, C, and D or ABCD, all of these do not have liquidity, right? So you should remember, you cannot withdraw the money in provident fund. You cannot withdraw the money easily, right? So you can withdraw the money only when you have lost your job, you're not doing any job, you decided to not do any job, or you have any marriage in the family, you want to construct your house. So there are some conditions, right? So just be careful in all the tax savings investment. The liquidity of the fund is not very good, right? So you have to be careful. Sukanya Samriddhi, how many of you have heard about it? Yeah, so like this is a Prime Minister's initiative where if you have a girl daughter and you can invest some amount, the investment could be as small as 500 and as large as 1,50,000 for a year. You invest, and then by the time your daughter reaches 18, or if she gets married, you'll get a cumulative amount, right? And then this also carries a good interest of 7.6%. So that's a wonderful thing, but then again, there's a lock-in period of 8 years. Whatever you invest, you're not allowed to withdraw, right? Like me and Anu were thinking of going for this particular scheme, but I was skeptical, right? Because I will not be able to withdraw this particular scheme, right? So if you think that you need to be very disciplined and put some amount for your daughter, and you have to be in India, so please put in this particular fund. There's some equity linked savings scheme. It's a mutual fund. National pension scheme is also very good. This also gets a deduction not only of 1.5 lakhs for 2 lakh, right? So if you think that you are in 30s, late 30s, and then you have to save for your retirement, the organization is not paying you pension, you can start to invest into this particular scheme. And then there's a repayment of home loan. If you have taken home loan, if you're making the repayment, so both the principal and the interest can give you some benefits in income tax. And then the bonds, ULIP and others. There's some deductions also. I'm not sure how many of you are aware. You can get deductions on LTA, which is leave travel allowance. If you're getting some leave travel from your office, see your salary, see your compensation breakup. If there's some leave travel allowance, you can get the benefit of this spend in your income tax. Whatever amount you have spent or you have kept in your banks, and if you are earning some savings or interest on that particular amount, that interest up to 10,000 is also exempted from income tax. All of you must be getting some allowances or the others, so please check for those allowances. Most of those allowances are also allowed as part of the deductions, right? Donations, if you pay to any political parties, you are allowed. Political parties should be registered, right? Same if you're paying donations to charitable institutions which are registered and which have ATG certificate, you're allowed to claim those donations, right? If you are buying a car, new car, the cost of which is more than 10 lakhs, generally they take tax in advance from you. So you'll see the bill, there would be a TCS, tax collected at source, right? So whatever you pay tax to them, you are eligible to take a refund of those taxes, right? Medical insurance premium, if you're paying for your family or for yourself or for your parents, that's also allowable as a deduction in income tax. And there is house rent allowance also. So yeah, this was the summary or a gist of investment. That's a very broader topic. Of course, this is just to give you flavor. All of you, if you have any queries, please reach out to me. And if you need any inputs, any suggestions, please reach out to me. Thank you so much.